We are live and direct today here at WYEP with a room full of WYEP members. Make yourselves known. And the reason for our little visit this afternoon, we got Patterson Hood and Jay Gonzalez of the Drive-By Truckers here. They're playing at the Carnegie Library Music Hall Homestead tonight along with Lydia Lovelace. They got a great record that came out last summer. We're going to talk all about it, but would you start us off with a song?
This one's called Shaken Pine. So you've gone astray. In a New York minute, nothing left to say. A ways to spin it, you've just gone too far. Unsafe within it, all strung out and swept away. You were here one day, gone by sunset, you set out that way. Lest we soon forget, blood on the sawdust, like coming in from a broken window pane. You shaken pine, didn't really mean to do me wrong this time. Make it up as we go along to fake and find the reason and the rhyme, the strength to carry on. Seems the more you know, the less you like it till you ache to go. Strike out on your own. Movement becomes you until you become so removed by the hands you show. Seems the more I know, the less I have the answers to these things I sow. Eat me like a cancer till there's nothing left for you to grab a hold of, till I spiral out of control. Shaken pine for a way out of this hell besides a life of crime. Standing before judgment, it'd be so sublime to step out of your shadow and walk towards the sun. Shaken pine from outside for an answer to this nursery rhyme. Like a ballet dancer, we leap in the air, lost in the footlights, lost in the footlights and the fog, lost in the footlights and the fog. Got the hang. All you're missing's Alabama claw above the bangs and lashes, and we saw it all. Reaching for the stars, but only catching dust.
So Drive-By Truckers, live and direct here on WYEP today. They're out at Carnegie Library Music Hall of Homestead tonight with Lydia Lovelace. And last summer put out the excellent album, Welcome to Club XIII. So that song you just played, Shaken Pine, I read that it kind of came to you on a subconscious level where it's just pouring out of you. And correct me if I'm wrong.
That's exactly what happened. And I went downstairs and I played it for my wife. I'd just written it, and I went downstairs and I played it for her, and she's kind of sat there and gave me a funny look. And after a pause, she said, "That's not about us, is it?" and I truthfully, and it's like, no, it's not. I have no idea what it's about, but I can promise you it's not about us. And she said, "You wouldn't tell me if it was, would you?" I'm like, "No," but it's not. And literally like 6 months later, I was in the middle of a show and I was playing that song, and it popped in my head in the middle of the song. I knew exactly what I'd written about, and because I had lost a friend the fall before during 2020, and who passed away like beginning of November in 2020, and it was definitely about him. And but when I wrote it, it was all subconscious stuff.
Now, would you? No. So we've established that you would not tell your wife if you did write about her, but would you write about her in general?
I mean, I have, but not like that. I'm trying to keep her.
Yeah, smart.
I need her. I don't need her to. I don't need to run her off.
I mean, I think honesty plays such a big role in your music, whether it is joyful or regretful or beautiful or ugly. It's always there. Now, whether everything is a true story or not, I think you guys make it sound believable. So you're like, what, almost 30 years into this band?
Yeah, good grief, you're right.
Do you think you're running out of stories to tell?
We're turning 27 next month. On June 10th, we're turning 27. The band, not me. I was 27 a long time ago. But yeah, we're at that bad age. I hope we don't do something terrible next year. But.
Well, there's a lot of terrible things in the world, and you guys certainly do not shy away from it.
No, for sure.
The 3 or so albums that came out before this were very overtly political.
Yeah.
And I feel like this one might be a bit more personal. So can you talk about that?
It is. I mean, I've always considered our band to be political because I grew up. I mean, I've always followed politics closely, even at a young age. I was that. This gives away how old I am, but I was that weird kid in third grade that wrote a paper about Watergate and about how basically Richard Nixon should be thrown in jail. And my teacher did not feel the same way, and like sent a note home to my parents. And it was like the one time I ever got in trouble at school that my parents actually kind of took my side. But so we did American Band, which was the most overtly political thing we'd ever done, and that was supposed to be a one-off. And I was already kind of writing songs for what became the Club XIII record by that time, and with kind of a plans of doing something more like that. But then we had this thing happened in 2016, and I don't know if anybody remembers it, but it was really an awful thing happened. And the next thing you know, there were all these more songs that were in that vein, and so we made The Unraveling. And then something even worse happened in 2020, at the beginning of the year, when we all had to go locked down for a year and a half, and so we ended up making a record during the pandemic. We made a pandemic record too, the new OK. So after all that was over, we went in the studio and we literally made Welcome to Club 13 in 3.5 days in there. So because I think it was like the floodgates just opened, and we hadn't seen each other in a year and a half, and we were all so glad to see each other, and we pushed record and had a record 3.5 days later. So.
Amazing. And we'll talk more about that record coming up in just a little bit. But if you guys would like to play us a couple more songs, we'd love that.
Let's do it. This was the last song I wrote for the Club 13 record, and I wrote it in I think March or so of 2021, shortly before we made the record. And it's pretty autobiographical, and it's called The Driver. out driving, sometimes late into the night. 21, surrounding wasting gas. Behind the bridge to Sheffield, over to Tuscumbia, where the main street's a time trip to the past. Behind the Hotel Grant, there was a flaming dumpster. Saw a group of Klansmen in their robes. I circled back, but they had vanished like rats, leaving nothing behind them but some smoke. And if you'd like to tell your story, by all means go tell your story. Just don't forget you only have one side. So parlay your inner visions with your usual suspicions. Make the grand approach that'll divide. When you're changing lanes and passing on the right, check your blind spot and signal your intent. I saw that Honda full of girls going airborne into the trees in Florida on Interstate 10. Flying, flying, flying. Go out driving, sometimes late into the night, trying to make sense of the pieces of my life. Still young enough to not know how those pieces fit together. Nothing to fall back on but a knife. And on the east side of town, behind those burned out factories, blasting Here Comes Your Regular on 10, I had an epiphany, a moment of clarity, driving all alone, 4 a.m. Driving, driving, driving. Full of stink, we set out upon the plains, Black Hills, Rockies, and Cascades. I'd never been out west, at least not further out than Texas. The world spread out before me like a page. An unwritten novel, a Huck Finn adventure come to life. We were living it all in real time. On that beautiful day, when we just turned the music off and let the wide open vistas fill our minds. We were already older, yet much younger than today, making sense of the visions that arise. Ever westward, I saw sunglass reflections of setting suns in vast Montana skies. Driving, driving, flying. Reality where everything is different than the world of happy endings we endure. A moment's distraction, an alarm clock powered down, a blind spot not checked before a turn. There was that rainy road on our way to see replacements when we hydroplaned but caught the road in time. and that guy on I-10 driving east as we were westbound in Florida, 2000 April 9. And that 10-degree decline headed down Teton Pass, coulee driving snow and solid ice, and that meteor that fell on our way to Idaho as we drove on past a near flaming demise. As we drove on past a near flaming demise. As we drove on past a near flaming demise. As we drove on past the near flaming demise. Thank you. Well, the times get tough and you thought you had enough when the stall of your free fall decides to call your bluff. When all of your resolve might dissolve into your cups, we will never wake you up, we will never wake you up. The season of our discontent has given way to torment, the states that you were born in disappeared without a warning. And simple evolution isn't working as a solution. We will never wake you up in the morning. Metaphorically inclined towards crossing over state lines, you drifted down upon the destinations you were inclined, until you lost all sight of your place in the design. Your alarm clock is ringing at your bedside. You drift into narcotic splendor of your never-ending bender, eyes glazed but somehow smiling, like the haze above the skyline. You down another glass, then drift off from our grasp. We will never wake you up in the morning. We will never wake you up in the morning. And the heaven that awaits you is a bar that never closes, and a line across the toilet tank for everybody's nose. The tab that's as open as the arms of your hostess as she gives a brief salvation upon you. Gives a brief salvation upon you. Buenos noches, sweet prince, above the 8-ball and your rent. Eviction notice at your door and all your money spent. Hearts broken by your actions, but you had the best intentions. There were bottles in your bedroom and nothing in the kitchen. And the last time we ever saw you, you were clinging to the barroom. Days on end we tried to call you. Bells were ringing, tears were falling. The door was opened by the cops, but you were up above the treetops. We will never wake you up in the morning. We will never wake you up in the morning. We will never wake you up in the morning.
91.3 WYEP. We are live and direct today with Patterson and Jay from the Drive-By Truckers. They're out at the Carnegie Library Music Hall of Homestead tonight with Lydia Lovelace. Just heard a couple of great songs. We'll Never Wake You Up in the Morning and The Driver. Driver's the first song on Welcome to Club 13. And I love, This Is How We Got Here type of song. I think about like Truckin' from the Grateful Dead, or like the first song on the first Hold Steady record.
Right.
How do you feel looking back at your life and writing about it? Like, it's got to be an odd experience for those of us who don't write songs.
I mean, I think if I actually thought about it, I wouldn't be able to do it. It's one of those things where it just kind of has to come out. And I wrote a song about that. Actually, I think it was even called The Driver, like 1984, like way before, even before I met Cooley, which we've been playing together. Mike Cooley, my partner in the Truckers, we've been playing together for 38 years this August, and because this was our fourth band together. But it was a very, very different song, but it was kind of about that. I mean, I think, I learned to drive really young, and living where I did, and Alabama, you couldn't get anywhere if you didn't have a car. And so when I was 8 years old, I could tell you that my 16th birthday fell on a Monday because I'd already figured it out. And when I first figured it up, I forgot about leap years. And so it was like a Saturday. It's like, oh no, I'm going to have to wait 2 days to get my license. So, yeah, and of course, doing what we do, we're on the road a lot. And so, and the road has kind of given us this life that we get to live, that we love, but it also can sometimes be a terrifying place, because you see all kinds of stuff out there, and it's sometimes not pretty. So
yeah, for sure. So when I was listening to this record just the other day, it made me think of a conversation that I had recently with a friend where I kind of jokingly told him that I was going through a midlife crisis. And he said, you know what? I had that a couple of years ago, but I thought of it more like a midlife reckoning, which honestly changed my life in the last week or so, thinking about that.
Right.
And I think it plays an important role in your music. Can you talk about reckoning and how it's been for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of the songs on this record are written kind of from a place of looking back on the era when, like, Mike Cooley and I started playing together, and the age we were then, because I think I was 20, and he turned 19 shortly after we started playing together, and we have kids that age now. I have an 18-year-old at home, and his oldest kid is going to turn 20 this summer, and so we're seeing our kids go through stuff that we went through when we were playing together or just learning to play together. And I think that's a big part of this record, kind of is looking at it through that lens of, you want them to have fun, but you don't want them to hurt themselves, and and so.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in your life, are you still shocked that as much as things change, they're basically the same over and over again?
I mean, yeah, sure. I lived for 21 years in Athens, Georgia, which Jay, which, by the way, thank you, Jay Gonzalez, for being here with me today and doing this with me. It's so awesome. Jay lives in Athens, and I bet you can vouch for this. You go at the 40 Watt Club, which is, where I have hung out since I first moved there in '94. And there's these new people who work there, but in a lot of ways you kind of go, God, this person reminds me of so-and-so that worked here in '98, and it's almost like there's these same roles being played. It's just new,
archetypal rockers.
Yeah, definitely a lot of archetypal rocker roles, and I mean that in the best of ways because I love that place. And
well, I was a little baby intern here at this radio station when you guys came through after putting out Brighter Than Creation's Dark, and I'd never heard of your band before. I was floored by that performance and have followed you ever since. So I want you to take us back to your early days, like the Adams Hellscat days, and what this real place, Club 13, what it meant for you, because it wasn't always good, right?
No, it wasn't. It was not. This is definitely not glory days, and but I mean, I grew up in a dry county, and so there was, when I was, which was awesome when I was a teenager, because at the state line where you'd go to buy beer, they didn't care. It was like, it was a border town. It was like you go to the Tennessee state line, there was no law, there was nothing. They didn't care that I looked like that I looked 13 at 16. They would sell me the beer, and if you wanted liquor, you had to go to the bootlegger, and the bootleggers didn't care either that I looked 13 and was 16. But and then around the time I turned legal age, they voted liquor in, and it's like, oh man, we're gonna have like cool clubs. We'll be like another Athens, Georgia or something, but instead just the honky tonks that were up at the state line just closed and then reopened in town. And the nicest one by far was Club 13, because they had Roman numerals because they were classy. And it was, it was concrete floor and, what they call industrial carpeting. The stage was not quite as high as this one, and about the same size though. And the owner was a nice guy, and he didn't hate our band, unlike most people in my hometown. But he didn't. But he also knew we wouldn't pull any people, so he would throw us a Wednesday night opening for some hair metal cover band, which we were so not that. And so Cooley would wear a dress, and basically everybody would wait outside smoking cigarettes until we were done with our set, and then they would rush into the dance floor to see Sidewinder and Radio Tokyo and all the different bands that would play. And that was it. That was our glory days.
Well, it makes for a really fun song to listen to. Would you play it for us?
Sure. Tonight at Club 13. Sidewinder with Adams Hellscat. Welcome to Club 13. All the usual suspects are acting weird. The bartenders can't be bothered. We're all glad you're here. The door guy's got an attitude. The disco lights obscene. The crowd is sometimes rude. Welcome to Club 13. Tonight we're gonna be entertained by our favorite Foghat cover band and Radio Tokyo, playing saying sweet home Afghanistan. Welcome to Club 13. Penny beer and cheap cocaine. Girls warmed up by tanning beds. Orphans left out in the rain. Sidewinders in spandex. The parking lot is packed. Everyone's waiting outside. Meanwhile, Adam's house cat is the opening act. Train songs and people who died. Train songs and people who died. Welcome to Club 13. We'll be back same time next year to play you all our pretty songs until they drag us out of here. Maybe we'll be horse farm drunk. Maybe we'll act out obscene. Muscle Shoals just need some punk. Welcome to Club 13. Welcome to Club 13. Our glory days did kinda suck. Everyone needs a friend. Everyone needs a... When we come this way again, notify our next of kin. We'll smell of weed and gasoline. Welcome to Club 13. We'll smell of weed and gasoline. Welcome to Club 13.
So fun. 91.3 WYEP. It's Patterson and Jay from the Drive-By Truckers are playing out in Homestead tonight with Lydia Lovelace, and we heard some songs today from Welcome to Club 13. We're running out of time here, but I just want to mention you do have something else in the works. I saw you guys are redoing the Dirty South.
Yeah, we've put out or putting out a very super deluxe version of it, and back when we made that record, we were fighting at that time with people who ran that label, which they don't now. The people that run it now are actually very nice to work with. But we were fighting, and they were unhappy with the length of our record because it was going to be a double, and we'd already just done Southern Rock Opera, and then we had Decoration Day right between them. So we were putting out records like every year at a fever pace, and they were unhappy with everything we were doing. And so we ended up dropping 3 songs off of the sequence, and it's kind of a concept record. It kind of told a story, and those missing songs sort of made it. I was always unhappy about it, and so they contacted us a year or so ago and asked if we would be interested in basically doing like a director's cut and making the record the way we always wanted it to be all along, and that included doing like super beautiful job with the packaging and the artwork, because I'm kind of a nut about that kind of thing, and so we did that. We put together the original sequence with the missing songs, and I did re-sing a couple of songs that have always bugged me. The way I sang it always drove me crazy. Every time I'd hear it, I couldn't stand it. And something I was trying to do that I can do now that I couldn't do then. So we did fix a couple things, but we put it out. And then last fall, just as we were like working on it, our beloved dear friend Wes Freed, that does all the artwork for the Drive-By Truckers, very unexpectedly passed away, and so he was aware of what we were doing and was really excited about it. So this is a chance to really pay tribute to his beautiful artwork, and the packaging for this thing is just absolutely stunning. So,
well, something to look forward to. I love it. Drive-By Truckers, live and direct here at WYEP. We're going to send things back to the studio now.